Well, how's it going, guys? Welcome back. If this is your first time here, my name is James and this is Killing It Country. Guys, I don't think it's ever gonna stop snowing. But before I worry about that, you guys want to crack open that gearbox and see if we can find out what's wrong with it? I'd like to. Let's do it. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna tear apart this gearbox from my snowblower. That is the manual from the snowblower. And we'll open it up to the right page. That's the part number of the gearbox. So, if you're not aware of what's going on with this gearbox, I will put a link up there to the video where it failed, and also a link to my review of this snowblower. So there's probably still a little bit of oil in this thing. So let's see if I can find an Allen key, and we'll crack it open. I hope there's still oil in it, but there might not be. Well, not a lot of oil, but I see some other things floating around in there. Alright. Just put that plug back in there for now. Alright, what size are these? 1/2 inch. Must have had these undone already.
You got the part yet?
Not yet. I just barely started filming. Alright. Probably gonna have to put this thing into the vise. There we go. This is where it starts dripping oil everywhere. See if I can tip this one down a little bit as well. There we go. So I was just taking advantage of the reduction in diameter at the input shaft to this gearbox right at that lip seal. There's an edge right there that I could pry against. I just went right inside just before the lip seal, pried against the shaft itself. Used a little bit of leverage to break that glue. Now, according to the diagram, there's supposed to be some locating dowels in here too. So try to keep track of as much of the stuff as I can. put a rag down on top of the floor here just in case this thing drips all over the place. So now what I can start doing is putting some small screwdrivers in that gap. Just work my way around the casing and try to separate the sealant or whatever they used in there. There, that's in there good and tight. I can also see the glue down in the crack there now, so I can cut it. Oops. There's the oil coming out. You can hear the sealant letting go. Okay, that's a good start. Ooh. There was lots of oil left in that thing. You know what? The worm gear doesn't look too bad in there. You can see it. But I suspect the other gears beat. The smart thing to do would be to make these two gears of different materials so that one would sacrifice itself, but we'll see. Actually, the smart thing to do would be to do your maintenance on a way more regular basis so that you weren't doing this at all. There we go. It's hard to tell. Doesn't actually look that bad. Oh, that outer race does not like to stay. Well, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. There's nothing wrong with either of those gears. So what could have possibly been slipping if both of the shear pins were perfectly fine in the auger and the auger and the second stage fan were turning independently of one another? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. The shear pin at the second stage fan was fine as well. There is a little bit of crap floating around in here, but nothing that you would associate with a catastrophic failure. Interesting. I don't know if you can see that in there, a little bit chewed up. Right there, coming into view. Very interesting. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with this, so I don't really know what to think. Very clearly was turning independently of the second stage fan. I've got that on video. The augers are moving independently of the second stage fan, which is not ideal. There is some crap floating around in here, but man, there's no way. There's no damage anywhere. Very weird. Figure that one out with me, guys. If the auger is turning independently of the second stage fan, then you would think there would be something going on with the gearing in between the two pieces. But I just took it apart and I don't see any damage. The shear pins were fine. I can't see that anomaly pointing towards the reduction gearbox. I did an oil change in that when I changed the gearbox, and the oil was perfectly clean that came out of that. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. This is not what I was expecting to find. All right, guys, if you like it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Uh-huh. So a little bit of a follow-up. I just literally turned the camera off and I seem to have figured this out, I think. If you look at the parts diagram, let's see. Part number, oh, it's upside down and I have a hard time looking at things upside down. There it is, part number 16. It is a spring pin. Where is it? I have no spring pin. I have no pin to locate that that worm gear onto that shaft. So if it's a press fit, it would probably stay, but without that spring pin, there's nothing stopping that. Oh, see, there you go right there. Look. So that was my problem, for sure. But where the heck is that pin? It must have got chewed up or something, and that's the small pieces that are in the case. Isn't that something? It looks like there's some leftover pieces of the spring pin down in there. That shouldn't be a spring pin. That should be a solid piece of steel that gets put in there, like a dowel. Let's see if I can get something to pound out that leftover piece. I mean, it's great news that the gearbox is still okay. You can flush those bearings out with some degreaser or something and put it back together with new sealant and have a decent spare, but wow, that's surprising. Good grief. It's moving freely in there, but how do you drive it out? Let's get a punch. Flathead screwdriver, not the right tool for the job. Okay. Here it is, on the floor. Leftover piece of the spring pin. So that's what happened. For some reason the spring pin failed instead of the shear pin. Interesting. I don't really want to replace that with another piece like that. I would like a solid piece of steel in there. Can you believe that? That's crazy. Well, I guess that's my fault for not looking more closely at the exploded view and realizing that that spring pin could be the thing that was causing that problem. Could have saved myself $700 on buying a gearbox, but I mean, come on, you look at a piece of equipment and if the shear pins haven't failed, then something else has to have failed. And something did fail, but I just assumed that it would be one of those gears. But I guess that's good news. I got a good spare now that I can put back together. I'll clean up the two halves of that casing and put it back together with some sealant and fill it up, and we'll have a good spare on the shelf. But yeah, that's crazy. Not what I was expecting. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Drop a comment if you've ever had anything like that happen to you, and maybe you like that video and you want to subscribe. But thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one.